to the time it shows up in Facebook. So I have my handy dandy monitor over here. Okay, there we are. Now I've got to pin that. See all. Fix this here. Okay. All right. Yeah. So it takes about a 12-second delay or so from the time I hit start to the time it shows up. So we are now officially live and in the featured group. And Joe Seski will join us here within the next minute or so. We'll bring him on since so he can talk to us about this deal as well, and you can share with everybody how you found the deal and everything. It was a little bit of a different deal than a typical, for sure, but it all worked out. We got the wire this morning, so then tomorrow I'll disperse funds and everything. So it's working out fantastic. So, like I said, we'll wait just a minute or so for people to jump on board here. And I'm going to go over here to the chat box. If anybody, as you all are joining us, if anybody has questions, anything, questions or comments from today, anything regarding maybe the vision that you have for your monthly goal amount, maybe you saw something today that kind of lit the light bulb up. And you're like, hey, wait a minute, this can be much easier, and it really can be. So any comments, questions, anything, put them in the chat box here on Facebook, and I will answer away here. Again, I want to thank everybody for joining us earlier today on the first class where we talked about why wholesaling sucks and lease options are far better. Then we talked about your financial goals. I'll break it down to a monthly goal, and then your mindset and your beliefs. So we broke all that down today. Then we jumped over to the VIP room, and in the VIP room, I went deeper into the guru mindset, deeper into the levels of the comfort zones and what creates those comfort zones. So here we are in the first Coach's Corner. Normally in the Coach's Corner, we have a few of our current students that will talk about the first deal they did, how they got the deal, the marketing they did, how they got the buyer, how they closed the deal, etc. Today we just have my sister with us, who as soon as Joe hops on here in just a minute, he's actually is in Pennsylvania, I think, right now. As soon as Joe hops on, we'll dive into that. But in the meantime, while we're waiting on Joe, any questions for today? Anything that you found interesting from today that you thought, hey, I like that. Maybe I've never heard that before. Maybe I haven't heard that from that angle before. Fire away in the chat box there. So, and. All right, boy, Johnette, with the windfall you're about to have, we got to get you a camera. Is that the built-in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, this is the built-in.
Yeah.
And it's an old computer.
Gotcha. Okay. Yep. Well, there you go. That just goes to prove that you don't need, a $5,000. Oh, hey, thank you, Greg. Greg said he enjoyed the mindset discussion. It just goes to show you don't need a brand new computer and a bunch of expensive stuff to do these deals, to do lease options. So
don't have to have anything fancy.
No. So let me see here. I'm gonna make sure that Joe got the link. We are live. We'll be on here just a second here. Tomorrow I'm going to dive into the different types of lease options and lease option assignments. I'll even show the first deals that I did. First couple of deals that I did. The way that I found my first two deals was literally driving for dollars. Now that may sound very boring and archaic to a lot of people, but you'd be surprised how You can really drive for 30 minutes, 40 minutes and find properties that are worthy of following up with to call if there's for sale by owner or for rent by owner. So I found the first deal. It was I started off calling buyowner.com. Buyowner.com is still around, but it's barely in existence. But it's obviously a for sale by owner website. And I would call, I'd print off all these people. This is back when I was working at Radio Shack, if y'all remember me talking about how I got started. I would print off all these ads and buy owner. I'd go to, I'd go to work at night at Radio Shack. I had a key to the building. And instead of working, I would actually, for Radio Shack, I'd actually make cold calls to sellers. I did that for 2 weeks and was scared out of my mind. I didn't know what I was doing. So I say that because I understand, when someone says they're scared and they're nervous, but now I also understand that if you're scared and you're nervous, that you're being selfish. But I did that for about 2 weeks, and then finally got my first deal. I was driving around. I drove maybe 4 minutes from the house, just driving around streets right by my house. Saw a house that said it was a buy owner, just a house for sale. So I called him up and said, "Hey, saw your house over here on Greenleaf or whatever. Would you be interested in doing a lease purchase on it?" And I said, "Yeah, sure." The owner didn't live there. Anyway, within 3 weeks, turned that deal. That one I made $3,500 on, which I realized is not a lot of money. This is 2003. Now I wouldn't do anything for less than $8,500. But the point is, it doesn't matter. They got me the first deal. I had no idea what I was doing. The second deal I did, my voice to text was going. That whole thing I was saying, Joe, I just sent a text to Joe. I didn't know voice to text was on. Anyway, that'll give him something to read. So I did that first deal driving for dollars, did the second deal driving for dollars. Again, had no real idea what I was doing, but it was powerful just to get out there and get out of my comfort zone. And that's what we talked about today, is getting outside your comfort zone. In the VIP room, I talk more about getting outside your comfort zone. What creates the comfort zones? Again, what creates the comfort zones are the 6 words that kill. Yeah, but if only, what if? And so I want everybody on this week to really dive into and hear and pay attention to when your subconscious is saying those 6 words. When it comes time to talk to a seller, to text a seller back, whatever. I want you to get past those comfort zones. So I'll answer a few questions here. It looks like we got a couple of comments. Tommy Zips says, "I assume all contracted properties listed on leasing to buy are they marketed other places as well?" Yeah, great question, Tommy. So he's asking about the properties on our website, leasing to buy. What my dream partners do, like what Johnette did, is they'll post the property on leasing to buy. That's kind of our mothership for dream partners. And then they'll send that they'll post that themselves, typically on Facebook Marketplace. My assistant, my VA, will then take those leads and post them on multiple websites as well. Zumper, Fizber, oh my goodness, a lot of websites. I think there's about 15 sites in total that she posts to, Tommy, you bet. So, all right, I tell you what, I know that Joe's, I didn't realize Joe was traveling this afternoon. He's, I think, getting situated at Pennsylvania. So he will be joining us here shortly. But I'm going to go ahead and dive in here. Let's talk about your first deal. But before we go about to the actual deal, I think what's equally as important is that people realize that you didn't have, and most people that come to me don't have really either a background in real estate, or they're very, very new at real estate, in the sense of they've bought a wholesaling course and they bought another one and they tried to do some marketing. It just wasn't working. And the courses they bought were probably very good courses, great information, but they just couldn't seem to get it to click. So having said that, I'll kind of take a step back here, Johnette. And okay, Joe just texted. I'll take a step back here for a second and let you kind of talk a little bit about your experience with real estate prior to coming on board the Masterclass. And what I want everybody to know here is that I'm not even the one that coached my sister. Back when we had the Masterclass about 7 weeks ago or so, Johnette, my sister, joined the Masterclass, which I thought, okay, well, that's fine. But I also knew that she had a full-time job. Again, that's fine. But I didn't know that she had any interest in real estate. when she came on board as a dream partner, I'm not the one that coached her because she's my sister, and I want to make sure that Joe, my mother coach, that Joe coached her because she's family. And okay, he's wrapping up a call, and I didn't want to be one of those things if you borrow money from family, then it makes Thanksgiving uncomfortable or whatever. Well, because she's family, I specifically said, okay, Joe, I want you to coach her, not me. Plus, if I coach her, then people may go, well, that's skewed. That's not a good litmus test, John, on your system because you're the owner of the company and it's your sister. So obviously she had preferential treatment, and I can assure you, and she'll attest that she didn't have any preferential treatment. Matter of fact, if I was coaching her, I would say that she needs to sell her dogs that are barking. But nevertheless, so having said that, so Jonette, why don't you kind of pick up the baton here and tell everybody a little bit about what you were doing, say 2 months ago, like what you had done so far in real estate, what interest you had in real estate. Because I didn't even know this until you joined the Masterclass. So kind of where did you start off, say 2 or 3 months ago?
Well, my interest in real estate goes back way further than that. I have always utilized real estate. I've always lived somewhere, utilized it. But I've always, my entire life, I've been interested in the real estate business, which is something you didn't know. No, few people knew. And over the past, 3 or 4 years, I have signed up to take the real estate classes to become a licensed real estate agent. And I have taken the Principles 1 class about 3 or 4 times, and then other things would get in the way, like my other job, which can be very time consuming. Then back in the spring, I participated in a different master class, someone else's master class. And there were some things that I was questioning, and I reached out to you and said, asked you about them. And you said, oh, well, here's some people you need to follow. You did not even list yourself. And I watched those. I was in the middle of some other things. So when I got situated where I knew, okay, I just need to pick one. I'm going to follow them for a little while, kind of like picking a college.
Mm-hmm.
And so I watched this one, knows his stuff, but I was way over my head. I didn't even know where to jump in. Then followed another one, and he's hilarious, but I didn't want to do wholesaling. And then I found out you were doing a master class, and so I decided, okay, I'll check his stuff out. So the weekend before that master class in August, I spent the weekend watching YouTube videos to prepare myself. Okay, what am I going to be in for? And I think after the second video, I knew, which college was the right one for me.
Yeah.
So I signed up in August to be a dream partner, and the next day went out of town for a week for a wedding on a beach.
Oh yeah, mine. Yeah.
Yours.
Yeah.
So then, September is when I started kind of trying to figure out which end was up and doing calls, going through Zillow for sale by owner, and then learning how to do the SMS campaigns where you send a text blast out. And end of September, 1st of October, I got a yes. Yeah, please call me. Let's talk. So I called him, and we got to talking, and he just happens to be an investor, and he was just about to have to hire an assistant to do the lease portion because he's been doing this. He buys a house, fixes it up, then leases it out and helps somebody get financing, traditional financing. So he was so excited about, meeting me. He looked up the Leasing to Buy website, studied it. He was just all geared up. But he was out of town a bunch. And so back and forth, we finally got a contract. And about a week and a half into having that contract, he and I were kind of concerned about, oh my gosh, are we going to be able to get anybody in this house? Because it is a small little house, and the rents in that area are nowhere near what we were having to do, because of the way we do the lease options for the payments. So I reached out to you and I said, we're kind of nervous about this. And you said, just hang on, give it a couple of weeks, and then we'll go from there. Mm-hmm. Days. And I'm not talking almost a week. I'm talking like 48 hours. We had a buyer. And so the seller said, I've got a buyer. I've sent him to the Leasing to Buy website to fill out the application. He looks really good. I've kind of, talked to him and asked him some questions and stuff. And by the way, I already have a check for the option fee.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Great.
Yeah, so I'm going to pause you there, and I want to go back and dive into a little bit of the details that I'm sure everybody want to know. So, you had tried to you had taken the test for the real estate license, I guess the basic.
I hadn't even gotten that far.
Oh, okay. So on that note, let me just say to everybody, and there may be people on here that are real estate agents. I know we had some people earlier today that were real estate agents, which is fine. When years ago, I looked at the book that you have to study to become a real estate agent here in Texas, the textbook. And I looked in there for lease options to see what it said about lease options. I thought, let me see what it teaches about lease options. It was maybe 3 paragraphs out of this thick book, 3 paragraphs maybe. So you wonder why real estate agents really don't know anything about lease options, because they're not taught lease options. They're taught this. They're taught contract law, meets and bounds, things that are, they're never going to use, right? Unless they're a surveyor or something stupid. And so first of all, most agents are familiar with a lease option. So now you joined us for the Masterclass back in August when we had that one. And you decided you wanted to become a dream partner. Now, something that's important to note here for everyone that is on this line, everyone that's in this call and that watches this training, my sister invested financially into the Dream Partner program, which we'll talk about more this week. But I also think it's very important that everybody understand that you didn't get a free ride, right? I didn't treat you any differently. Even Karina, my wife, said, who wasn't, my wife now said, are you going to make your sister pay for the Dream Partner program? I said, yeah. I said, because if there's a huge psychology behind paying for something, that if you don't pay for something, you don't appreciate it, right? And that's true whether you're a younger, kid getting a new car, or if you're an adult getting, someone gives you a nice watch, or someone gives you the Dream Partner program, if you will. You just don't appreciate it, and you're not as driven to take advantage of it and to utilize it. So you came on board as a Dream Partner. You made the investment. And then the next week you went to Florida for my wedding because I got married.
Oh, yeah, like the next day.
Yeah. So August 21st, I got married. So then you come back and you hit the ground running. You're working with Joe Seski, my coach. Mm-hmm. Now, can you remember, because the reason I wanted to have you on is because we just closed the deal and because it's fresh enough where you may be able to remember some of the thoughts and thought process that you had when I connect you with Joe and you have your first 1 or 2 trainings with him. What were some of the fears? Because this is Coach's Corner. what I'm now calling objection obliteration. So I want everybody on this call to throw me your objections and I'll obliterate them, right? So what were some of the hesitancies that you had? Some of the what if, yeah, but, and if only that you had? Do you remember?
Uh, oh gosh. I think one of the main things was, are we going to be able to? Am I going to be able to get a buyer who is willing to pay?
Well, yeah, but now before that, you were having to reach out to sellers, and you had not done this before. It was all brand new to you. So Joe had you. What did Joe have you do? Were you just starting off on texting using the Dream Partner scraper and texting people on Zillow?
Yes, and I think my concerns are going to be much different than a lot of people's.
Okay.
Because for those who don't know, I'm a court reporter, which means English is my thing. English and punctuation, those are my things. And so I want my text messages to be absolutely perfect. And so honestly, my fear and concern was that Joe was going to type in this horrible message and just send it. So my fears are a little different.
Okay.
Calling the.
Yeah. So now, were you doing any cold calling as well, or just texting?
Yes. Doing cold calling because I'm in East Texas, and there are many counties in East Texas. Most of them very tiny, and so instead of spending money on a text blast for to people who probably aren't even looking at their phone or disregarding it because it's an unknown number.
Yeah.
I was just opening up Zillow and going to whatever county. Lamar County, and I would set the Zillow to the newest listing, and I would go all the way to the end and see how old that oldest listing was, and I just pick up the phone and start calling. Hey, I'm calling about the such and such house.
Yeah. And to be clear for everybody, you're talking about for sub owner because the
right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's very clear. I want to make a very clear delineation for everybody. She's not talking about calling listed houses. You do not call listed houses. That's tortious interference, which no other guru will teach you. But she's going to Zillow, going to the oldest listings for sub by owner in those counties, and she was just picking up the phone and calling them. And so you weren't. What was your mindset? Was like, well, if they do, they do. They don't, they don't.
Yeah, pretty much. And the more I do it, the more I develop my spiel, so to speak. I really don't want to say the word spiel, but I kind of polish my edges. To make it sound and come across more like I'm trying to help you. Your house has been on the market for 6 months. You've been trying to sell it by yourself for 6 months. Here's an option. This is a plan B for you. And then I explained to them about the monthly cash flow that it could generate to them with those monthly rents.
Right.
And that helps. So the more I do this, the more polished and the better prescription I feel like I'm writing to them.
Yeah. And so, like I talked about today, and then I talked about even further in detail on the VIP call is I say, listen, you're in the business to help sellers. That's what we do. And so I say, approach this as if you are the doctor. All right. Approach as if you're the doctor and you're listening to what's ailing them. And typically for us, it's going to be the house been on the market for a long time. They may or may not live in the house anymore. But as you're making notes of what ails them, you're writing a prescription. For us, normally that prescription is a lease purchase, a lease option, a short-term lease option. And so when you approach it that way, your job is not to make them take the prescription. You're saying, "Hey, I'm here to help," right? And I've had sellers that said, "Nope, I'm good. I'm going to hold off." And then 2 months later, I see their house is still in the market, and they've dropped their price $10,000 or $15,000. You reach back out to them, and now they're like, "Well, okay, how did that work again?" Right? Because I just lost 15 grand, and had they worked with us, they would have made like 30 grand more than that, depending on the price. So when you're talking to sellers, you're writing the prescription. Now, how many, as you're talking to sellers, you're going to have a lot that said, "No, I'm good. We're going to try to sell or whatever." But then you had Luke, who is an investor. That's important to point out, everybody. Luke is an investor. Investors are wonderful people to work with because they're already thinking outside the box, right? And so since Luke is an investor, keep in mind the second house I did was a home investor house. They were investors. I made more money off investors and working with investors than probably anybody else. So you really want to get in with investors because they, like in this case, Luke was looking to hire someone to try to do this, and Johnette came along and said, "We can just take care of it for you." I have spent a lot of time at at offices of investors trying to teach their staff how to do this, and I probably did it a few times, and quickly realized, you know what, it's far easier for us just to do it, right? Then because now they got to bring someone on that specializes in the lease option, and it's easier to just go, "You know what, just bring me the deals." Right. And they're like, "Okay, great. Let us do our thing. Let us acquire the property, rehab it, whatever. And you all do the lease option." So, and that's what Luke was. That's how he was in this case, right?
Yes. And so he was already very familiar with the process. So it was a breath of fresh air because I didn't have to hold his hand and spoon feed him and give him a lesson on lease options and how they work.
Yep.
Because he was already familiar with it. He'd already been doing it. We were both pretty excited on that first phone call.
I'm taking notes here. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because here he was. You saved him from having to hire somebody.
Yeah. So instead of him having to pay someone else to do this, he made money. He made money instead of having to pay.
Yep. Absolutely. So in this case, what was unusual about it is that the owner has a contractor or something. This house is in Waco, by the way, people. Waco's a little bitty town. Most of y'all probably know it's a little bitty town, a fairly small town. And so lower priced houses, this and that. But the owner has a contractor who knew somebody, I guess, that would be great for this house. So I guess the buyer saw it online. Let's talk about the marketing of the property before I go down that rabbit hole. So you put it up on leasingtobuy.com, and then what did you do? You put up on some other websites.
I joined some of the Waco and the McLennan County pages, the Facebook groups for houses for rent or sale or lease, and so I was posting the link up there. All over those places, Marketplace.
Yep.
And so that's where I put that, as well as the leasing to buy.
Okay.
So I had it going, and then, Luke and his contractor were also looking for people.
Okay. So what happened was the buyer sent his mom money. His mom, who lives in Waco, the buyer sent his mom money. The mom got Luke a check. I didn't know what was going on. I was traveling. I said, "Whoa, what's going on here, guys? This is not how this goes." And I didn't know. I thought Johnette had totally foobarred everything. It turns out that this was the owner, which it all worked out. But the owner, he just kind of showed up, and the guy gave him a check. So I step in and easily get everything back on track with the owner returning the money. Anyway, getting everything all straight. Got the contract signed, and again, another hurdle here was the buyer basically works 12-hour shifts. So, and I don't think is super tech savvy, but we got the contract signed. We got the wire today for $9,000. Now, with this house, Luke really wants to do other houses with us. I guess his father or he and his father are investors. And so they want to do more properties with us, which is fantastic. And that's really what you want. You get in, anybody on this call, if you get in with 4 or 5 investors that actually, if they even buy 2 properties a month, you're going to have a whole lot of inventory, So you definitely want to take care of them. Definitely take good care of them. Before I go to the next step here, so we close the deal. It's your first one. Woohoo! I wish I had a bell here. Ding, 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 ding. Anyway, any questions that you all may have for Johnette on her first deal? Let me see here. Any questions or comments? I'm making notes here.
I see one question on which website did the buyer find the listing? I don't know for sure that the buyer saw it online. All I know is that the contractor appeared with a buyer. So I don't know if it's someone the contractor knew or if the buyer did find it somewhere on a listing, because all of my listings had my number on them. Mm-hmm. So I'm not sure exactly.
Okay.
Which website?
Yeah, and that's the thing is that we don't always know what website they called off of. Mm-hmm. It's not unusual for us not to know which website they called off of. But now in this case, so you didn't even have a sign in the yard. And
no, I hadn't even had a chance to drive out there.
Yeah, because that's a pretty far drive for you. So you never met the seller, never met the buyer, never saw the house.
No, nothing. All virtual. Yeah, Waco's about an hour and a half from me.
Okay. So you never saw the house. That's what's important to understand is that you don't see the house. Probably pictures of it online. You don't have to meet the seller. You don't have to meet the buyer. You can do all this virtually. You never have to meet anybody. And so after probably a year or so, when I started leasing, after probably a year, I started bringing on reps and reps in my area and stopped meeting with the sellers and the buyers. I stopped seeing the houses. I didn't need to. Now, I didn't know there was a name for it at the time, virtual. I was just doing it, right? So I'm making notes here as well. All right, so other questions for Johnette here. I'm going to switch over to Facebook here. Other questions? I don't see any other questions just yet, Johnette. Tomorrow, I was just making a note here. Tomorrow on our noon call, I'm going to do, you're going to see me send email number 1, 2, and 3 to an attorney. Now, the reason I'm sending email number 1, 2, and 3 tomorrow is because this is $1 million home down in Houston. Yeah, Houston. And the daughter called me. This goes back 2 months ago, probably. The daughter called me off of a mailing that we did. And she said she was calling for her parents, which I thought, okay, then her parents probably don't speak English. Sure enough, I was right. They speak English, but apparently, a little shaky. So then nothing became of it. I sent her the email number 1 and 2. Then last week, before Thanksgiving, the attorney calls me, who's representing the seller, saying, hey, I'm attorney. My name's Fred. I'm attorney, blah, blah, representing so-and-so. And they are looking to do at least, they got your information, looking to move forward, but want to get some more information. So I had a real quick call called the attorney back, answered a few questions, pretty straightforward. But I told him I'd send him everything, just so he would have everything to look at as well, because he may have some additional questions. So what I'm going to do is tomorrow's call at noon Central. On tomorrow's call, I'm going to be sending email number 1, 2, and 3. My gosh, now dog, stop! Between your dog's barking and mine with the collar like a jingle bell. Tomorrow, I'm going to send email number 1, number 2, and number 3. I'm going to start off the training tomorrow at noon with those emails. So everybody gets to see me send these emails at once. I normally don't send them all at once like that, but in this case, the attorney's already seen the numbers, but I was trying to make sure he gets everything. So excited about that. Y'all are going to get a lot out of that tomorrow.
There's another question that has come up. Did you receive a percentage from the deal? I guess I'm a bit confused as to what part of the deal gets me paid.
Yeah. So when we do a lease option, when we assign it, we're getting paid an assignment fee. that fee is normally 4%, maybe 5% of the price of the house, which we'll go through setting the numbers. We'll go through that a little bit more tomorrow and then Wednesday as well. We get paid that assignment fee. That's the option fee. Again, about 4 or 5% of the price of the house. And then what we typically do is we typically give the owner $1,000, maybe a couple thousand, totally depending up to the student. It also depends on the price of the house, right? Like on this $1 million home that you're going to see me do tomorrow, I believe I set the numbers at $100,000 option fee, and I just said I'll split it with the owner. I believe is what I did, because I'm fine with $50,000, right? And the owner's fine with that. So we typically have the owner a couple $1,000s of the option fee, which we did in this case. And what's even greater in this case is that the owner is an investor, so he wants to do more and more deals with us, right? And so that brings up another point. Who is that? Brooks. Thank you for bringing that up, Brooks. That brings up another point, is that when I'm working with an investor, someone that's going to be bringing us more deals, I like to sweeten the pot a little bit, maybe give them another 1,000 or so of our option fee, just to help sweeten that pot to keep them bringing the deals coming in. But that's how we're paid, is the option fee. Yeah.
And the option fee is paid at the time of the lease?
Yes, the option fee is paid at the time, typically at the time of move-in. In this case, it was paid a week before move-in. So I'll show you all this. Let me show you this, Brooks. Share screen. So here's leasing to buy, right? Oh, I got to flip the switch. All right, so here's leasing to buy. And you can see, so you can see these houses on here. I'm making sure y'all can see that. Yep. So we have a ton of houses on leasing to buy. These are our students. These are our dream partners doing their deals. So I'll just click one here. So here's this house, $387,000. Oh, Adriano, this is Adriano's deal. Adriano's going to be on our Coach's Corner this week. So is Jose Campos. He closed a $35,000 deal 2 weeks ago. Yeah, so you get to ask him questions as well. We'll do that probably Wednesday night. But here's the listing that you all can see. Let me see if I can make that bigger. I don't know if that'll show up or not. But here's the listing right here. And Brooks, what you'll see here is option price, $387,000. This is what we're marketing the property at. The rent, $3,100. Option fee right here. Option fee, $15,500. That's how much Adriano is going to make in profit on this house. This is what the buyer must bring to the table to close this house. This is $15,500. So that's our option fee. So anybody on this call, if you go to leasing to buy, and you look at our properties on there, you can look at the option fee and see how much the student is making off that property. And again, the student will very likely be giving the owner $1,000 or $2,000 of their fee, because there's no deposit with a lease option. There's no deposit. So, but anyway, so that you can go to leasing to buy and see a number of our the houses that our students have there. So, but good question. And that's, I got to say, that's, I'm going to toot my own horn here for a second. When you were talking about kind of looking at which college to go to, meaning which educator to go with, and I didn't even mention myself. I said, go look at these other people, follow them. Something that shocks me a little bit, surprised me a little bit, is that to this day, when it comes to lease options, especially, but for the most part across the board, but especially lease options, I see to be the only educator that actually has a lease option business. Where you can actually go to the website, see the houses we're doing, the states, the cities, all the pictures, everything, see how much we're going to make. I seem to be the only educator that has an actual lease option site, which, okay, well, whatever. But I think that's so important, as for people as they're looking to determine, what college to go to, what educator to pick, is are they actually doing deals, right? And I can see we're doing a lot of them. So, great question there, Brooks. Great question. And I'm going to go back through here. I don't see other questions yet. So again, congratulations, Johnette, on your first deal. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Super, super excited for you. I'm proud of you. And I'm glad that that you made the investment. And I'm glad that I didn't, give you a free ride and, you skate, bring your wings. Nope. No, you got this. Right.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
And so having said that, you're very new as a dream partner. Like you haven't even been a dream partner long enough to go to one of our mastermind retreats. And we have our next one coming up in February at the JW Marriott Hill Country, and I'm super excited about that. We do this twice a year with our dream partners, go to a cool place, and we spend 2 days diving into everybody's business. And I invite special guests to our masterminds. This last one we had Scott Jelinek, we had Jesse Mills, we had PropStream there, we had Jason Palliser. A lot of people there helping and presenting to the students. So this, the Dream Partner Mastermind coming up in February, we have Mitch Stephen, which if you may not have heard of Mitch Stephen, or did I refer you to him? I don't remember.
No.
Okay.
No, you referred me to some other people that are.
Okay. Mitch is a phenomenal guy. You definitely want to, everybody on this call, you definitely want to follow Mitch. He's just a good old boy that talks in language, that we can all understand, and a phenomenal guy. He'll be there, and so will Jerry Green, who is phenomenal. He used to coach for Robert Allen. But anyway, so again, congratulations, Johnette. Welcome to the Dream Partner Program. I'm proud of you. Super excited for you. And even tonight, here in 20 minutes, our Dream Partners have a coaching call. So do not forget that, Johnette. We have a coaching call in 20 minutes.
I had forgotten. Yeah.
Yep. Every other Monday, we have a coaching call on top of the fact they have almost full access to us throughout the week. But you've got a coaching call in 20 minutes. Joe will be leading that. I will not be leading that one. Joe will be leading that one. But let me see. We just literally as I'm about to hang up. Literally as I'm about to end a couple of calls. So Darnell says, how is the option fee different from a down payment? When the buyer goes to get financing on the property, the option fee will show almost every time. It will reflect as the down payment. All right. So if I'm going to go with easy numbers, Darnell. If it's $100,000 house and you're getting $3,500 down, I'm using easy numbers here. The buyer goes to get financed. FHA requires 3.5% down. When they go to get financed, they've already put down their 3.5%, right? So their option fee almost always goes towards reflects as their down payment when they go to get financed. And John asks what happens if the seller goes bankrupt or sells the property? What happens? So John, here we go with the what if questions, the what ifs. So I've never had a seller go bankrupt in 18 years, never had it happen. And they can't sell the property because there's someone in the property with a contract with an option of purchase. So they can't sell the property. If they tried to sell the property, then they'd be in a heck of a mess with a lawsuit. But I've never had a seller go bankrupt or foreclose or anything. Again, we're working with nice houses, pretty houses, pretty people, pretty money. So these are not like your typical wholesale house / owner where it's a pile of garbage and the owner's, a bit of a mess. So these are people that want to have that house closed because they've got, they may have a little bit of equity in it, right? And so that it just doesn't happen, to be honest with you, John. And I don't hope that doesn't come across as I'm sugarcoating it. It just doesn't because of the clientele that we're working with. All right, good questions, everybody. Okay, I know our Dream Partners have a coaching call here in about 17 minutes. Everybody, please spend some time tonight to write out. Hazel says, can I watch this when you are done? I got tied up with making my screen. Yeah, Hazel, these are all recorded, and they go into the featured tab up at the top. For the VIP members, typically within a few hours, or within 24 hours, all recordings are put into the Google Drive. If anybody on here is a VIP member, you do not have the link to Google Drive, email Melanie, which is support@leasingtobuy.com. All right.
There's another question up. Somebody wants to know, what does it take to get started?
Well, hey, Kelly, what's up? Yeah. So, you know what, Kelly, didn't you just move? Did I see on one of your posts that you're new somewhere? You moved somewhere, Houston, or I don't remember. You can see there's like an 8-second delay. It'll take her a second to respond. I think I remember seeing her post that she just moved to Houston. Chicago. I'm sorry, Kelly. I was thinking I had Houston in my head. Chicago and Kansas City. Well, welcome, Kelly. Welcome so much. We'll talk more about this throughout the week. But Kelly, if you want to apply to work with us, and I'll talk more about this during this week, so you know everything. You can go to thedreampartners.com, thedreampartners.com. It's like 3 minutes to give us some information about you. We'll set up a Zoom call and schedule a time to get together on a Zoom call and see if it's a good fit for you and for us and everything. I'll talk more about the Dream Partners later, Wednesday for sure, and then Thursday. But the Dream Partners came from, a lot of anguish of me doing what the big box boys told me to do, and then I fired them. And so now we've got the Dream Partner program, which is really, it's far, far, far more. It's a family. Matter of fact, it's more like a movement. I'm reading this book. For about the second time. I'm reading it again, called Expert Secrets, which, by the way, you all need to always be reading books, even if it's audible. But he was talking about in there about creating a movement, creating a family, an impact statement, basically. And it got me thinking about our impact statement, or what it would be. And so I'm going to kind of work on that this week. But I think it's something to the effect of, my name is John Jackson. I'm part of a group of investors that are changing the way that we help sellers, and that we are the real estate doctors, and we are the ultimate plan B. So I'm going to work on the mission statement, and I'll have that later this week on one of the calls. But it's really interesting. So go to thedreampartners.com if you want to be part of the family. We only allow about 50 people throughout the year within the Dream Partner program. So it's very, very, very tight knit, very close. But certainly go to thedreampartners.com. Tommy says, is the contract in the VIP folder? So that's an interesting question, Tommy. So I'm going to put a ton of documents tomorrow into the VIP folder, our seller price sheet, our comparison sheet, our email number 1, 2, and 3. Everything's going to go into the Google Drive folder. The one thing that will not go into the Drive folder is my contracts. I have never, ever, 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 ever given away my contracts. The reason is I've spent a small fortune. Basically, I've spent my daughter's education on attorneys and attorney fees for my lease option contract. So they are absolutely the best in the nation. I've spent over $30,000 on legal fees on my documents. Matter of fact, I've had attorneys have bought my contracts and bought my entire course just for the contract. So I do not give my contracts away, Tommy. No, obviously our Dream Partners have them, but yeah, so I don't put those into the Google Drive. But good question, Tommy. But you're going to see a lot of stuff go in there tomorrow. Emails, the 3 emails. How's the email number 1, 2, and 3? Seller price sheet, all that stuff will go in there, Tommy. So good question. All right. I know you got to jump on a call here in just a little bit, Johnette, with the rest of the Dream Partners. Everybody else, work on your vision statement. What is your monthly? What's your monthly goal look like? And make it so that monthly goal is a little uncomfortable for you to even write, for you to even say. Remember earlier today, I said $20,833.33. That's all you have to attract every month. Oh, there you're, Johnette, showing hers. I can barely see it because of the camera.
Yeah. And it may wind up showing backwards.
Yeah, it shows backwards. You're going to make money backwards.
Anyway, I can make it.
You wrote it down. So you write that down, you visualize it, you attract $20,833.33. So then the question becomes, okay, now work backwards and say, well, how many sellers do I have to talk to? Or how many deals is that, first of all? And for Giant, we'll call it 2 deals a month, okay? Because she's working in smaller towns, lower price houses. You know, she's not like in New York or California. So with her, we'll say 2 deals. We'll be a little conservative here. So 2 deals. Okay, well then how many sellers does she have to talk to get, 1 deal? And whatever that number is for her, typically you talk to 20 people, you're going to get, you're going to get a contract. You send 20, 25 seller price sheets, you're going to get a deal if you're doing it properly. And so you walk backwards and say, okay, well, I've got to talk to, say, 40 sellers a month, or 40 sellers and including investors, whatever. And now you know what your assignment is every month, and use a scorecard to say, well, am I hitting the dot? Am I hitting my expectations or not? So, I certainly remember a time in not very long ago at all, where $20,000 in a month would have been like, well, that's a pretty good month, right? I don't know how I would survive right now if I only made $20,000 in a month. But then again, I run run pretty large. It's not really large, it's like 5 of us, but I run a decent sized operation here, between real estate and education, and everything. But write that number down and make it a little uncomfortable. Remember, get out of your comfort zone. You've got to get out of your comfort zone, and maybe it's 20,000, right? And visualize that number, right? That makes it uncomfortable. Visualize it literally small. And Jonette, I don't know if you're on the VIP call today or not.
Yes.
And where I drew $10,000. I drew it really small and the person really big. We visualize things. And I don't know if, I'm sure a lot of people here have listened to or watched Tony Robbins or gone to some of his events. He talks about anchoring things. He talks about visualizing things. And you take a number like 10,000, you make it really small, like, oh, okay, yeah, whatever. And you literally have that mindset, okay, yeah, I can do that in a few days. Then it changes your frequency. It changes the way you think. It changes your frequency. And that's so important. So anyway, great day today. Day number 1 out of the gate here. Again, my assignment to you all was to write down your visions, your monthly goals, etc. And my book recommendation today was The 1 Minute Millionaire. You want to go to Amazon and get this, 1 Minute Millionaire. It's the book that got me started. I gave you a free book, or I'm actually going to load a free book here onto the main group here in the Facebook group, The Challenge by Robert Allen. So it's already in the VIP room, but I'm going to load it here after this call. And anyway, tomorrow I'll have another book recommendation as well. It's amazing to think that all these books, not all, but a lot of these books behind me over here, when I go through them, and how many of them I know the author. They're my friends, right? It's crazy. And that's one of the benefits about the Dream Partner program, is it's not just about me coaching you, me working with you. It's about access to people, people that can take you to a higher level. And that's really what we want with the Dream Partner program. All right. Thank you, everybody, for being on here. Jonette, I know you got a call to jump on. I'm going to wrap this up and then load the free book, The Challenge, into the Facebook group. Guys, tomorrow at noon Central, we dive in. You're going to see me start off. Do not be late. I will start off tomorrow at noon Central, showing you email number 1, email number 2, email number 3. You're going to see the house. I'm going to show my screen. You're going to see this house. I'm going to show you the mail piece that I sent out to get the seller to call. I'm going to show you the numbers on them. You're going to see everything that I'm sending to this attorney. Okay, so you do not want to miss that. And then we'll dive into the different types of lease options and lease option assignments. All right, Jonette, thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. And we'll see you tomorrow, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye, y'all. Have a good night.